weight of the world. We hear the emotional attachment to pain upon the cross. And Jesus utters the cross because he feels forsaken. Lord, I know you're with me, but why does it feel like you've forsaken me? He connects with those in like manner. He hears one say, when you come into your kingdom, remember me. And he says to them in the midst of his own pain, this is what the gospel is about. In the midst of my own breakdown, I'm able to give comfort. He says to the young man, today you'll be with me in paradise. It has nothing to do with being strong. It has everything to do with being confident that God is able to do exceedingly abundantly above all we ask or think. Feeling the pain of the crucifixion. I thirst, an inward desire. Something is happening to me that physically I am thirsting. My body is in need of something that I can't get. But he goes on. And he finishes by saying, it is finished. And he yielded up to the Holy Spirit. Into thy hands I commend my spirit. What does the gospel look like? Well, today I want to just, Miche, you ready? You have to trust me. Really don't trust me, trust God. Mache, I've asked her to share the gospel. From a woman who's been injured by life, by cancer, by amputation, by chemotherapy that there's no more trial. She's tried so many different types of chemotherapy, radiation. She's gone through so much in the middle of her usefulness. But there is a word from God. And I want to share with you as we just allow God to unfold this moment. It wasn't pre-planned. It wasn't anything that I just sat there. It was God-given feedback, God-given. So as I look at Paul's letter to Timothy, he says, Timothy, I have fought a good fight. I have finished the race, and I have kept the faith. She's far from over. But I'm saying to you that there is a level of fight in you that will require you to know that you can be defeated, but you don't have to be defeated. Some of you are tired, worn in the middle of your race. That monkey has jumped on your back and you are unable, unsure, you're able to finish your race. Whatever your race is, whatever God has given you as an assignment, you get worn and weary, tired, feeble, vulnerable. You wonder, is this still my season? But the Apostle Paul lets us know that you have to finish your race. No matter how tired you feel, or No, hear me. No matter how tired you feel, no matter how many mistakes you've made, God is requiring you to finish your race. When no one is with me, no one is standing with me. Those are Paul's words. Paul says, no one stood with me. No one stood with me. I stood alone. But then Paul says to us, as we look at this word, Paul then says, he says, no one stood with me, but everyone forsook me. Verse 17 then says, 2 Timothy, verse 17 says, but the Lord stood with me and strengthened me. So not only did the Lord stand with you and will stand with you, but he will strengthen you while he's standing with you. And there are times when God allows us to feel alone and actually to be alone, when no one's words of affirmation is able to help you, when you have to run, when you have to block, when you have to make sure that my assignment is done. God wants to let you know that even though no one stands with you, you still cannot abort your assignment. Where coach, all the other players, they didn't do their job, but did you do yours? It doesn't matter if everyone else didn't do theirs or not. The question is, did you do yours? Did you keep the faith? Did you run the race? He said, no one stood with me but the Lord. That's strong. But the Lord, I love this text, and Miche's going to share. But the Lord stood with me. There are times when God allows you to stand alone so that you'll learn that he is the source. I want to change your perspective, because Paul goes from complaining that no one stood with me, but let me tell you who did. The Lord stood with me. And not only did the Lord stand with me, but he strengthened me. So the Apostle Paul, Mache, the gospel is also seen through perseverance. Can I trust the Lord when it's uncomfortable? Can I trust the Lord to know that there is something coming? There's something coming. There's someone who's going to help me. And so rather than me giving you this sermon today, and I really want to, but the Lord just led me to say, let's just hear. Let's hear Miche's struggle, but let's also hear her faith. Let's hear the things that she's challenged with, but also we want to hear the level of her faith in God. And ultimately, God gets the glory out of this moment. Can you allow this unorthodox moment to take place? Miche, many of us have heard about your story. You've had cancer since how old when you first got diagnosed?
2006.
How old were you?
16. My senior year in high school.
Tell us, because right now you're becoming a preacher of the gospel.
At 16 years old, in the midst of basketball tryouts and the end of marching band season, I had a small, mole on the top of my great toe on my left foot, and it caused me pain when I ran. So I went to several doctors to figure out what the mole was, and it began to grow. They had no idea what it was. They named it all different things. And then finally they took a biopsy of it and sent it to North Carolina. And when it came back, they said that it was epithelioid sarcoma cancer. And that is a cancer that attacks the major organs in your body, and it's rare. I was the first African American woman with this cancer. So at the age of 16, facing this, of course, had to rely on faith. I've been going to Grove for a while, so I know I had a mother that was constantly praying. So I just wanted to ask my doctors, what's next? Will I be able to continue to do the things that I want to do? I'm 16. Will I be able to go back to school and things of that nature? I got my great toe amputated, and I didn't play basketball that season. I actually got cut, but I got my great toe amputated, and I went to prom with high heel shoes on. I graduated, and I went off to Virginia State. The cancer was still in certain areas, like in my groin, but it wasn't anything major where we had to take care of it right now. I went to Virginia State, and while I was at Virginia State, the years there, I had to go do some chemo. I did chemo for 15, 18 months, every single Friday, for 15 to 18 months, every single Friday. My mom would drive me up to Baltimore to Johns Hopkins because that was the only place that had a chemo that might possibly help with my cancer. My cancer is rare, which means there's no cure for it as of right now. And as of right now, yeah, it's coming. So I went through chemo. I graduated Virginia State, top 10% of my class. And then I went on to get my master's at Regent.
Miche, as you continue, your levels of challenges, your challenges have been many, but yet you received your bachelor's, your master's, and yet the cancer grew worse.
Yes. So the cancer grew worse, and it ended up taking over my entire foot. So I recently got my foot amputated in last January. And after that, I still decided to go back to work. So I work at Churchland Middle School, where I help teach history and help coach the girls' basketball team. Recently, this school year, I had to come out of school early because one day while I was at work, I was feeling pain in my chest. When I went to the doctor in Harborview, they did an x-ray, and they said that there was an air pocket in my lungs. So I ended up going to Norfolk Centera, and both of my lungs had collapsed. that means that, I'm not being able to breathe on my own. So they inserted tubes on both sides, and they did a procedure known as prosthesis to get my lungs back to where they can breathe on their own by using talc powder. So now I'm breathing on my own. This entire summer, I had my own plans to take me and my baby girl all these places and do all these things. But for most of the summer, I've been in the hospital. I just got out of the hospital on, was it Friday? Friday, and I was in there for a week. I spent more days in the hospital this summer than I've spent out. But God is good. Some people may not understand when they see me, they probably say, why isn't she sad? Why isn't she down? I have no reason to be sad or down because this is the life that God has given me. This is my journey, and what God presents me, I know that I already have the victory. So if I do what I need to do just to get through and reach the finish line, He didn't say how you get there. So if I come crawling, if I come dragging, as long as I get there, it's my victory. I currently have a prosthesis, a fake foot, sitting in my room, and sometimes I just want to hide it and put it in my closet because I'm like, man, I had plans to be running like the girl, running with my fake foot back on the basketball court helping out. But God had other plans. He has a different course for me, and I have to follow Him and trust Him. And even though it may seem like, God, I don't know. I'm back in the hospital again. This is not what I had planned. I have to lean to His understanding and not my own. And I'm always praying to God to give me more of Him and less of me.
Were you ever down? Were you ever down? How did you feel when you were going through all of this? Did you ever feel like, how much more? What did your faith do to you if you felt that way?
What do you say, Pastor? Okay.
What did your faith, did you ever felt like you just couldn't take anymore and you just didn't know how much you could take? You didn't know what else was going to happen, but yet your faith in God helped you overcome it. You were in a lot of pain.
To be honest with you, to be completely honest, it's been times where I've been in excruciating pain. I wouldn't wish this cancer on anyone. Like I tell my family all the time, if I'm the only one in the family that ever gets cancer, I will take it for all of us. I don't wish it on anybody. It's at times where you ball up and hold yourself so tight because the pain is just that unbearable, and there is no medication that can really calm it down. It can settle it, but it's nothing that it can take away. But when I pray to God and I ask Him, dear Lord, please, ease this pain or settle me, sometimes I either fall asleep or it goes away. He's always an on-time God, and He's never going to give me more than I can bear. recently, this last hospital visit that we went through, where I stayed for a week, the chemotherapy completely just zapped me out. I normally, when I was in Virginia State taking chemotherapy, going back and forth, Baltimore, I was fine. I might sleep on the way back home, but I went to the club sometimes afterwards. I was fine. I was good to go. But this chemo was like, I'm gonna lay you down for a little bit. So I had never experienced that type of treatment, and it scared me. It made me go back to my humble place. It humbled me. It made me pray. It made me go to God and say, God, what do you need me to do? What can I do? What am I supposed to be doing? In my mind, I'm thinking, I'm supposed to be taking my baby girl to the pool, Busch Gardens, passes, we just got them. That's in my mind. No, God's saying, I want you to lay down. I want you to get your bed rest. I want you to be at peace. I want you to be quiet. I want you to be still. And it's hard when you want to constantly, go and you feel like you're not doing what you're supposed to do, or you're not doing what's important. You're not, I'm a mother, so I want to be doing my motherly duties. But God's saying, you're doing exactly what I want you to be doing. Let me see.
Why is it important for you to give God glory?
It's important for me to give God all the praise and glory, because without him, I am nothing. He has kept me time and time again, and I know that it's not a man, it's not a doctor, it's not my mom. I know it is God who has kept me, who has covered me. I know Jesus' blood is all over me, because when I lay down at night and I say my prayers and I wake up in the morning, joy comes every morning. I wouldn't dare take ownership of this, or I wouldn't give it to anybody else. God deserves all the glory and the praise. I literally was just contemplating on the way here this morning, me and my mom contemplating which device I was gonna walk with. And I literally have not walked with my crutches in a couple of weeks. I was gonna use the wheelchair, but I'm like getting frustrated with the wheelchair. I'm like, put that down. So I just take the walker, then get frustrated with that. But I was like, I'm just gonna take the crutches. And I give God the glory for that little bit of extra, peace and hope and push, because, it's one step closer to me feeling like, I'm reaching my destiny, and I'm getting through my journey. And it, might not seem much at all, but my left leg right now is literally 4 times the size of my right leg. It's extremely heavy, because the cancer and the lymphedema inside the cancer is causing it to swell up. And it just causing me to lose my balance. But God walking with me and my crutches, and we came right on in here.
To God be the glory. Come on, to God be the glory. Wasn't sure how God would unfold the moment, but I wanted us to hear the gospel, not just from the pages of what has been written, but from the epistle that is still living. For God is still writing. He's writing out his word in the hearts of people. And I want to encourage you today that this same God who walks with Miche, the same God who is able to regulate her breathing, to keep her mind at peace, the same God who gave ability and opportunity to surgeons, to doctors, to the medical field, the same God who gives her strength when her leg is 4 times larger than her other leg. She often falls off balance. But yet today we heard that no matter what has come her way, the pain, the frustration, the unmet dreams, goals of running, of going somewhere with her daughter and just simply playing basketball again. Some unmet things, unfulfilled things, still should not deter us from giving God glory. Well, that's the sermon for the day. Come on, my captains, come on. You do what you do. You got some men around you that's going to walk you and it's going to help you. This is a moment that we could not have ever planned. Look at what is happening. This is unorchestrated. God covers you with new people. He covers you with the Spirit. Come on, church. We ought to be giving God more praise than this. Don't take your health for granted. Don't take your life for granted. Don't take where you are for granted. Oh, magnify the Lord with me and let us exalt his name together. He's worthy of praise. Come on, one more time. Come on. Well, may we all stand together, and we all stand together.